Session is being recorded and aired live on Channel 18 and the Town of Barnstable's Facebook page. It will also be available on our video on demand feature. My name is Lynn Poyan, and I'm the Director of Communications for the Town of Barnstable. We want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend this session. We ask that you use the question and answer feature at the bottom of your screen to type your questions or comments at any time during the program. At the end of the presentation, we will answer as many questions as time allows. If you have questions about your specific property, we request that you contact the Department of Public Works directly. We will not be answering those questions at this time. By using the Q&A feature, we are able to capture all of your questions so that we can address those that we may not get to today in the near future. For more information, we encourage you to visit our barnstablewaterresources.com website. You can sign up for our Community Currents newsletter and updates. You may also email questions to waterresources@town.barnstable.ma.us. At this time, I am turning the program over to our town engineer, Griffin Bowden, who will make introductions of the team, who will provide an overview of this project.
Thank you, Lynn. Now I will go ahead and share my screen to start tonight's presentation. All right. Evening, and thank you for joining tonight's informational session. Tonight we'll be discussing the Town of Barnstable's upcoming Route 28 East sewer expansion project, which is the second major construction project as part of the town's 30-year Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan, or CWMP. This project will install foundational pieces of infrastructure which will support the remainder of the sewer expansion program. My name is Griffin Bowden, and I am the town engineer for the Town of Barnstable. Presenting with me this evening will be Mike Pollan, a professional engineer from West & Sampson, who is the engineering firm that has been retained to design this important project. Also available this evening during our question and answer session will be Dan Santos, the Director of Public Works, Mark Milne, the Director of Finance, Paul Rosala, the Senior Project Manager for the Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan, who will be managing this project implementation, and Stephen Peterson, a Project Manager for Weston & Sampson. So without further ado, we'll proceed with tonight's presentation. So a quick overview of tonight's agenda. First, I will go over a quick overview of the town's Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan. I will then turn the presentation over to Mike Pollan, to review the project in detail. And then we'll have a brief discussion about public outreach for the project, sewer connections, and then we will have a question and answer session. So first, what is the Comprehensive Wastewater? What is the CWMP? The CWMP is a Comprehensive Wastewater Management Plan, which is a regulatorily required planning document which identifies the town's wastewater needs and establishes a recommended plan for resolving them. The plan serves as a town-wide science-based plan to protect our water resources, including coastal waters, freshwater ponds, and drinking water. The plan identifies the various wastewater needs of the community, identifies sources of nitrogen pollution, identifies the various water quality requirements with a focus on health of water resources. It recommends capital improvements, identifies funding and financing mechanisms, and the implementation of this plan will successfully remove sufficient nitrogen to meet federal clean water standards, also commonly referred to as TMDLs, or total maximum daily loads. So what is the general problem that the community is facing? The various wastewater issues that the community is facing include impaired embayments, the predominant issue here being nitrogen. Nitrogen pollution is well documented by the Massachusetts Estuary Program, and Barnstable's coastal estuaries and freshwater ponds are impaired due to nutrients. Nutrient pollution threatens our environment, property values, economy, and quality of life. Other wastewater issues that the town faces are groundwater and drinking water quality concerns, pond water quality concerns, promoting economic development, flood zones and climate change, and regulatory requirements. So why is wastewater management key to dealing with nitrogen sources? This graph, which comes from the Cape Cod Commission's 208 plan, which was developed in 2015, identifies the nitrogen sources on Cape Cod. You'll see in the large blue portion of the figure that septic systems are contribute the majority of the nitrogen to the environment on Cape Cod at about 78%. There's some other smaller contributors such as stormwater and fertilizer, but the predominant issue here is septic systems, and as a result, wastewater management is the key to resolving this issue. Title V septic systems do not effectively remove nutrients, and thus sewers are a large component of our proposed plan in order to resolve this issue. So what's the cost of doing nothing or inaction? Federal Clean Water Act requires communities to meet water quality standards in coastal waters and some freshwater bodies. Barnstable is required to meet the total maximum daily loads, or TMDLs, for nitrogen in our various coastal embayments. Failure to act swiftly could result in further damage to water quality and water resources, as well as the town being at risk of a court order, lawsuits, and/or regulatory enforcement. So this is a figure of the town's comprehensive wastewater management plan, more specifically, the town's sewer expansion plan. Areas in red are in phase 1 of the town's sewer expansion plan, or the first 10 years. Areas in green are in phase 2. They will receive sewer in the second 10 years of the plan, or years 11 to 20. Areas in yellow are in phase 3 of the program and will receive sewer in the third 10 years of the program, or years 21 to 30 of the program. I'll bring your attention to the yellow line on the right side of this figure. This line designates and really represents how important the Route 28 East Sewer Expansion Project, which is the project we're discussing tonight, is to this program, as every parcel to the west of this line will utilize the infrastructure that's going to be installed as part of this project. There's some overview statistics of the comprehensive wastewater management plan. Some key takeaways here are that about 190 miles of sewer will be installed in our roadways. About 12,000 parcels will be connected to municipal sewer, and we're anticipating about 87 pump stations to be constructed as part of the program. This figure shows the 19 sewer expansion projects that are included in the first 10 years, or phase 1, of the sewer expansion program. The red box designates the Route 2080 East Sewer Expansion Project, which is shown in more detail in brown. With that, I will turn the presentation over to Mike Paulin to talk in more detail about the Route 28 East Sewer Expansion Project.
Thank you, Griffin. I appreciate that. So continuing on, talking specifically about the Route 28 East Sewer Expansion Project area. It's kind of broken down into 5 kind of main areas. So I'm going to work from the west to the east. So we have a new pump station going in at the intersection of Finney's Lane and Falmouth Road, which would be at the very western edge of this figure that we're looking at here with the yellow project area encompassed. Finney's Lane will have some gravity sewers between Falmouth Road and Waquaquet Lane. Falmouth Road being the primary piece of the project, which extends from the new pump station at Finney's Lane all the way to the treatment plant at Bierce's Way. And along that route, we're inside and outside of the roadway. We pass by the Barnstable Intermediate School, and we've also worked in some water main improvements. And I'll touch on all these in a little bit more detail in the following slides. So from Falmouth Road, the sewage is conveyed all the way to the treatment plant at Bierce's Way. And then we have a small section of sewers on West Main Street that are conveyed away from our project area to Strawberry Hill Road. This is just a little bit of the numbers involved in the project. So we have about 8,100 feet of gravity sewers shown in green, which again is Finney's Lane, small portion of Falmouth Road, and a small portion of West Main Street. These green areas will sewer approximately 90 properties within this project area. And then jumping down a little bit lower on this bullet, the Finney's Lane pump station ultimately, as Griffin alluded to, after the 30-year program, will handle approximately 7,200 properties in total. So going from the initial 90 properties to the 7,200 properties involves a little bit of staging of the design. So initially we have a smaller force main that the pump station will utilize that will pump the sewage from the new pump station to West Main Street. As the flows build up entering that pump station, we'll use a new larger force main that will extend all the way down Falmouth Road to the treatment plant. That would be the yellow line on this figure. And then eventually at the full build out, there will be a second force main along that same stretch of Falmouth Road. So all three of these force mains will be installed as part of this project. So there's a small segment shown in red where we'll have 3 force mains in Falmouth Road. And then from West Main Street to the treatment plant will be the dual force mains for future use. Because we're doing construction in Falmouth Road, Hyannis Water will also be working in some water main improvements, which are shown in blue on this figure. And then the last bullet, the estimated construction cost of this project for the sewer and the pump station work is approximately $22 million. So again, working from the west to the east, I'll start with the pump station, which is kind of the cornerstone of this project. So we have a new pump station going in at the intersection of Falmouth Road and Finney's Lane at 1456 Falmouth Road. This is the site of a former gas station for those that might know the area. Right now that site is vacant. So the new pump station will include a new building, and we're working to match that building with the surrounding properties in the entire Barnstable area, working with town staff and the town architect on the look of the building, which we'll look at in the future slides. In the chance of a power outage, the pump station will have a standby generator that will be located behind the building, located inside a sound attenuated enclosure. So out of sight of Falmouth Road and minimizing any noise. The design, based on the 3 different force mains that our design will minimize odor controls already, and the wet well is located inside the building, so the design will incorporate odor control. And as far as the driveway access, the previous site had a entrance and an exit. The new pump station site will have just a single entrance into the site to try and minimize traffic in and out. So this is just a quick snapshot of the pump station site plan. So as you can see, we have a driveway in off Falmouth Road. There's a proposed pump station building. All the flows will come in off of Finney's Lane into a manhole just outside of the building. You can see the driveway access, a large turning area for town trucks to use. The back area will be a little bit of a graveled area, and then the back left corner of the graveled area behind the building will be where the generator is located. And then the hatched area around the entire paved area and building will be loamed and seeded. The town will look into landscaping after the construction of the pump station is complete. The initial plans for this contract will just include loaming and seeding. This is just a quick look at the 3D views of the proposed building. Again, working with town staff and the town architects on the look to try and match the area. The side with the 1 door and the 2 windows would be facing Falmouth Road. Double doors on the right side for equipment to be taken in and out, and then HVAC in the upper level and the attic level. And this is just to get a general idea of the how the building will look on the actual site. So again, this is the site at the intersection of Falmouth Road and Finney's Lane. Again, currently just showing loam and seed around the site, but the town will work to some landscaping and plantings around the site to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing once the pump station is in. So then just talking about the other of the 5 areas. So the pump station, again, is on the very left of this figure where the star is located. So Finney's Lane will be a gravity sewer extending from Falmouth Road all the way up to Waquaquet Lane, flowing back to the pump station. This is a fairly deep excavation, picking up some areas further north in the future, and also with some rolling topography. So the sewers end up being approximately 20 feet deep through this stretch. So the sewers will be located as close to the center line of the road as possible to try and minimize any disruptions to the outsides of the road. For this reason, it is likely that the roads will be closed in this area, and we will be detouring around, which there appear to be plenty of options for. Falmouth Road, again, there are some gravity sewers that flow back to the pump station, and then the yellow would be the 2 force mains for future use and some water main improvements. The sewers and the water mains are all located either in the eastbound travel lane or shoulder of the roadway to try and keep the westbound lane open for alternating traffic whenever possible. We envision that we'll be able to keep traffic flowing at all times in one direction or the other. In some areas, we've tried to leave the right-of-way entirely to minimize traffic disruptions and pavement costs. So you can kind of see by this figure. So right in the middle of the figure is the Barnstable Intermediate School and the back entrance to the high school. We will be located, our dual force mains will be located in the sidewalk in these areas to get off of the roadway entirely. So we'll be in the shoulder through the school area until we get past the solar panels to the east, and then back out into the eastbound lane of Falmouth Road. And then there's, again, since we'll be doing some work in Falmouth Road already, there'll be some water main improvements in this area as well, again, located on the eastbound lane and or shoulder where possible. So this is just a snapshot of the Barnstable Water Pollution Control Facility where all the flows will be conveyed. So rather than continue down Falmouth Road all the way to Bierce's Way in order to save traffic disruptions and pavement costs, the sewer will cross out of Falmouth Road before the Pitcher's Way intersection and cut across the town parcel adjacent to the existing sand beds. So the fifth primary piece of this project is the West Main Street piece. Very small piece, but it actually flows away from our project area. So you can see the single force main that will handle the initial lower flows coming in shaded in orange. And then the gravity sewers will be conveyed to existing sewers at the intersection of Strawberry Hill Road, which are then conveyed to the Lincoln Road pump station and pumped to the treatment plant in that direction. So project stakeholders, obviously the town of Barnstable entirely, everyone that cuts through this corridor will be impacted. Mass DOT, Route 28, Falmouth Road is a state highway, so we're working closely with them throughout this project. Barnstable Public Schools, we're passing by the intermediate school and the high school, so we'll work with them as far as traffic impacts. And of course, the project abutters, the people that will be connecting to the sewers over the next 30 years. So traffic management, I've touched on some of this already. So some of the project challenges, lane closures versus road closures and detours. Again, the deep sewers on Finney's will probably have road closures. In the other areas, we envision lane closures, keeping traffic moving. Just one of the challenges that we'll have to work on this project, and obviously impacts to the schools and the abutters. It would be envisioned that we're going to try and do the work along the sidewalk in front of the schools during the summer if possible to minimize that impacts to the schools. Public safety, police details, we have police details budgeted into the project for all the work that's done within the roadway. Obviously public safety is the key factor that we're shooting for. Emergency access will always be provided even in the areas of road closures. And then again, Mass DOT being a key stakeholder, because we're going to be working within the right-of-way of Falmouth Road. We've applied for a state highway permit through the DOT, so we'll work with them on time of year restrictions and time of day restrictions. So again, the work on Falmouth Road being the bulk of this work with about 10,000 feet of the dual force main located in Falmouth Road. There are 4 major signaled intersections along Falmouth Road. We've made every effort to try and minimize the impacts through each of those 4 intersections. Finney's Lane, as you can see in this little figure here to the right, we've designed the sewers so that they cross over to Finney's Lane before you actually get into the intersection to avoid the traffic impact of cutting through that intersection. West Main Street, at the West Main Street intersection of Falmouth Road, the pipes are all located in the shoulder, so we will not cross through that intersection. Strawberry Hill Road, the force main pipes will be installed in advance, so we will not be cutting through that intersection. And then at Pitcher's Way, as shown on the treatment plant figure that I had up earlier, we cross off the roadway prior to the intersection and cut through the town parcel to the treatment plant. So our preliminary project schedule is that we anticipate going out to bid this winter, early spring, to start construction next spring, with an anticipated completion date of winter 2023, with potentially some work carrying over to spring 2024, such as the final paving. General sequence of construction would be the main line sewer getting installed first down the middle of the roads. At the same time, soon after the main line going in or following the complete main line, crews will come back and install laterals from the main line to each property. And then obviously the paving will be last. They'll come through with temporary paving initially, and then once that goes through a settlement period, the final paving will follow. So that's pretty much what I had for the project details. I'm going to pass it back to Griffin to finish up the presentation.
Thank you, Mike. Wanted to briefly touch upon a public outreach for the project. Property owners will identified to be within the project will be receiving mailings from the town with additional information on the project, a notification that they are in the project, and a sewer connection questionnaire. On the right of the screen, you'll see an example of a sewer service connection notifications that we sent out earlier this year for the Strawberry Hill Road sewer expansion project, which is currently under construction. The sewer connection questionnaires that we'll be sending out as part of this notification process are very important as part of the construction, as they inform town staff where the sewer connection stubs for future connection to the property should be installed on the property. For instance, perhaps somebody is interested in putting an addition on their property and they do not want the sewer stub to be left on the left side of their property as opposed to the right side of their property. And so this just gives the resident the ability to communicate with our staff and provide that level of information to assist us in putting the sewer connection stub in the correct location for the homeowner. We request that you return these questionnaires in a timely manner. They'll be provided with a self-addressed stamped envelope and can be returned via email if that works better for an individual. During construction, traffic updates will be communicated through various means. The town's e-news will provide weekly updates, social media, message boards that are installed along the construction route, as well as press releases and other various forms will be utilized to communicate the traffic updates throughout construction. Residents who are interested in receiving weekly emails about construction should send an email to the water resources at town.barnstable.ma.us email address as shown on the screen. And as always, if you have a specific question about your property, about the program, about the project, feel free to give us a call or send us an email and we will provide that information on a later slide. Just a brief overview relative to sewer connections as part of this project. So for this project, the sewer notification forms and questionnaires that I just spoke about will be mailed out to the property owners in the project area. We're anticipating this spring of 22. The sewer connections, however, will not be available until the completion of the project, which, as Mike noted, is anticipated for 2024. Upon completion of the project, properties within the project area will receive sewer connection directive from the Board of Health. Sewer service installation on private property from the building to the roadway will be the responsibility of the property owner. And the town council recently approved a sewer assessment ordinance establishing a maximum sewer assessment of $10,000 per equivalent residential unit who is receiving sewer. Now, an important consideration here is that the property owners will not be assessed a sewer assessment until there is the ability to connect such as the completion of construction and receipt of the sewer connection directive from the Board of Health. On the right side of the screen is an example of the sewer service connection form, which was sent out during the Strawberry Hill Road project. And this has directions as to how to provide the information that the town staff is looking for. And as always, you can feel free to call town staff. There are numbers and contact information to do so if you have any questions as to how to fill out this form. So some project contacts, as always, for the project or for the CWMP as a whole, feel free to contact the Town of Barnstable Department of Public Works with any questions you may have. Our phone number is 508-790-6400. My email address is provided on this slide, as well as our senior project manager, Paul Rosala, who is the project manager for this program. Questions on the project or the CWMP can always be submitted to the water resources at town.barnstable.ma.us email address. If you have any questions that you may not have thought of this evening, or you don't feel like we completely covered your question that you've asked, feel free to submit these questions via email and we will respond in a timely manner. And as always, for more information on the project and the town's comprehensive wastewater management plan, please visit https://barnstablewaterresources.com. So this concludes our formal presentation for this evening. We'll now answer any questions that folks may have. With that, I will turn the presentation back over to Lynn for the question and answer session.
Thank you, Griffin. We do have a few questions. First one is, what is the anticipated cost to homeowners for the sewer hookup? Also, what will be required in terms of remediating existing septic systems?
Sure, so I'll take the second question there first. For remediating existing septic systems, the health department has a septic system abandonment permit, and you can work with the health department to receive that permit. Generally, what's involved in that is pumping and either filling in the septic tank and leaching facilities with stone or gravel or sand, or physically removing the system. It's up to your preference. Relative to the cost to a homeowner, again, the town has established a maximum sewer assessment of $10,000 per equivalent residential unit. And then the construction cost of the sewer connection from the home to the street really varies by everybody's individual characteristics of their property. Can be anywhere from on the order of $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000 to upwards of $10,000 to $15,000, really depending upon the characteristics of your property, landscaping, if your driveways will be impacted, et cetera. So I'd encourage folks who may be in this area to speak with contractors to get an understanding of the various impacts to their property that may result in different costs.
Thank you. Our next question is, when Finney's Lane is closed, how will homeowners have access?
Sure. Actually, Paul, do you want to answer this one?
Sure. To clarify, Finney's Lane will be closed to through traffic, but local traffic access will remain open. And also to provide you some further detail, with deep sewer installation like Finney's Lane, we're looking at installing roughly 20 to 40 linear feet of sewer pipe a day. So we'll have our contractor stage over roughly a 200 to 300 foot area. We'll have a barricade on either side of the work zone to prevent pedestrians and traffic from just entering the work zone. And then at the far extent of Finney's Lane, we'll have police details securing the work zone, allowing residents only through the area and keeping through traffic out. And with that would come a detour plan where we'd have signage to indicate to the through traffic where to travel around that project area.
Thank you. Our next question is, what is the difference between a gravity and forced main pipe?
Why don't you take this one too, please?
Yep. So a gravity, with sewer design, we use the natural topography of the land to install a pipe and have the wastewater flow downhill. So similar to like a water slide at a water park where the water exits your house, goes downhill to a low point. When it collects at a low point, we typically would have a pump station. So it pools that wastewater, and then we need a pumping system to pump that wastewater out of a holding tank under pressure to, say, another gravity line that works its way toward the sewage treatment plant or directly to the sewage treatment plant itself. So a gravity main is open pipe where water's flowing in a channel, and then a forced main pipe is a pipe under pressure that a pump is pushing that wastewater up to another location or to the treatment plant itself.
Thank you. At this time, we don't have any more questions. So I would like to remind folks that this program will be available on video on demand on the town's website, and Channel 18 will also be doing a replaying of this program. For those people who think of a question maybe after they get off tonight, the email address to send questions to is waterresources@town.barnstable.ma.us. And I think that is all we have for tonight. We want to thank you once again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you at other programs in the future. Thank you and good night.